Hey everyone, my name is Mike, and I am fascinated with the concept of time. I'm constantly thinking about it, whether it's about what I've done, what I failed to do, what I may eventually do, the world in general. I am constantly thinking about time. For example, when I think back, I constantly think back to when I was a kid. I constantly compare, and I usually do this in about decades. I usually compare time in decades. So I think about a decade ago, 10 years ago, I was 10 years old. What was I doing 10 years ago? What were my struggles? What were my stresses? What was life like? How has it changed within 10 years? How has it changed in the last year? How has it changed in the last 10 months, 10 days, 10 hours, 10 seconds? And I'm constantly thinking about that. And I don't know if I'm the only one, but it's super interesting for me to think about that, because I think life comes in decades. So you have at least the first 3 decades of your life are probably the most eventful, because from 0 to 10, you become a person. You learn everything there is to know about, you learn the basics of being a human being. You learn talking, walking, math, basic math. You learn stuff. 10 to 20, you become a teenager. You figure out a little bit about your life. You find passions, you find love, maybe you find out more about yourself. And then 20 to 30, I feel, is like the age where you define the rest of your life. And now that the 20 to 30 is something that is, it's obviously not as final as 0 to 10, 10 to 20, because people might not have their life figured out until they're 50. They might not have what I think people usually do within 20 to 30 until they're 70. I don't know. But for me, I feel like that's the way life works. And so when I think about the next 10 years of my life, I'm currently 20. I turned 21 in May. And I think about, what's life going to be like when I'm 30? When I hit that big 3-0, when I'm out of my 20s, what's my life going to be like? Am I going to have a career? Am I going to go back to school? Am I still going to be making YouTube videos? Who are my friends going to be? What kind of car am I going to be driving? Am I going to have my own house? Am I still going to be living with my parents? Am I going to be dead? I don't know. And it's that stuff like that just amazes me. It's just super interesting. And then I always, once I think about the 10 years, I start breaking it down shorter. So in a year, in 1 year, on December, I'm commentating this on December 2nd. So December 2nd, 2014, how different will my life be from what it is now? Because a year ago, and I have terrible memory, so a year ago, I think my life was pretty much the same. I was pretty much doing the same thing. The only thing that's changed really is that I'm done school. But a year from now, it's interesting to me what could happen. A lot can happen in a year. What can happen in 10 months? What can happen in 5 months? Hell, what can happen in the next hour? I'm leaving to my girlfriend soon. For all I know, I could meet a famous director who's down in my city for no reason, and he's gonna say, "You have a look, and I want to hire you." Very unlikely. I know. I'm just saying all the possibilities that could happen in an hour. I could die in an hour. I could get in a car crash. That would suck a lot, and I don't want that to happen. But I'm just saying, it's really interesting how different life can be when you think about it in time. And then when I also think about time, I also think about, I was a kid 10 years ago. I had restrictions. I had rules. My parents kind of dictated my life, understandably. But 10 years later, I am my own person. I have my own curfew that I set for myself. I have my own bedtime. I have my own limitations of how long I can and want to play video games, or can and want to watch TV. I can decide whether or not to eat a certain meal. If I don't eat it, well, that's fine. I'll just make up something later, or I might not. Who knows? It's so cool to me, the concept of time. And then I also start thinking about what was life like in general? Like, before I was alive, what was it like 100 years ago? What was it like a year before I was born? 10 years before I was born? 1,000 years before I was born? Before anyone was born, really? It's just, the concept of time is so grand and so incredible to me, and I constantly think about it, and it's awesome. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you later.